Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
If life has got you down, seems there's nothing anyone can do to turn it around, we just might have the solution. Welcome to New Life Live with Drs. Jim Burns and Alice Benton, answering your most pressing concerns today. Jim's the founder of Homeward. Alice is a clinical psychologist, and I'm your host, Brian Perez. Jim, good to see you, sir.
Great to see you. Great to be on this broadcast with Alice.
With Alice, the one and only. Dr. Alice, what is on your mind to start us off today?
Well, you know how when you have a cold for a really long time and you just can't get over it, you start to dip into the old wives' tales remedies. Yeah. So here are a couple of the remedies that have come across my social media lately, because this is on my algorithm. Put onions in your socks and sleep with the onions against the soles of your feet. Drink garlic water, which I actually have tried. I have to plug my nose when I do it. And then the old adage, I'm curious if you've heard this, starve a fever, feed a cold. Yeah, you've heard that.
I've heard that, but I've always gotten it confused. Sometimes, is it starve a cold, feed a fever? Which one is it? But.
Well, whether or not these are actually true, when you're desperate, you're kind of willing to try anything. But when you're in anxiety, and it's so uncomfortable, and some of us live with anxiety for years and decades and a lifetime, you may also be willing to try just about anything. And the solutions that many of us go to: workaholism, drown yourself in your work because it's distracting. Alcohol and drugs, they sure do provide temporary relief. They take you out of that discomfort of anxiety. Digital escape, it's such an easy one, and also temporarily it works. But let's look at what the real solve is for anxiety. Anxiety needs comfort first and foremost. But usually if we're talking with an anxious person, we want to tell them it's going to be okay. You shouldn't worry. It's not that big of a deal. You'll be fine. But that doesn't solve anxiety well. In fact, it shuts an anxious person down, and they're less likely to talk about the very thing they're anxious about. Anxiety first needs comfort and understanding. Secondly, it usually does need challenge, because our fear can hold us back from facing the thing we're afraid of. And when we stay in withdrawal and avoidance, anxiety actually grows. There's this saying of run to the roar, and it means go towards the very thing you're afraid of. Because even if you stumble several times, if you keep attempting to face your fear, your courage and your ability will actually grow. Run to the roar. Anxiety, like a cold, can have bodily origins. And by that I mean hormones can be off balance. And if your brain chemistry, neurochemistry is off balance, it can exacerbate the feelings of anxiety. Oftentimes, anxiety is about unfinished business in relationships, in your environment, in your work, in the major areas of your life. And it has to do with, it can be a radar telling you, go after these unsolved problems. They need your attention, sort of a spiritual radar. But because our chemical system can also exacerbate anxiety, getting a medical evaluation to find out, is there an organic reason that I have this anxiety, like the organic reason that we have a cold? And I just want to give 3 common struggles that people have with anxiety. It's so often fear of addressing family conflict and feeling ill-equipped to do so. Fear of getting out there in the world after you have suffered a setback. And fear of trying again at new relationships, like dating, for instance, or marriage, if you've had a marriage that hasn't gone well. And what we at New Life want to do is help you find the origin of the surface level symptoms and get to the real answer to your anxiety problem.
Good stuff from Dr. Alice Benton, and even some great tips on how to get rid of a cold, like putting garlic in your socks.
Onions.
Or onions. Oh, and put it in garlic in your water.
That's right.
That's what it is. Okay, see? And I'm getting that confused now, along with feed a fever, starve a cold, or is it feed a cold, starve a fever? So, yeah, it's amazing I'm ever well, because I always get my remedies confused. Anyway, we've got some phone calls to get to in just a little bit here on New Life Live. Stand by.
I went to Every Man's Battle in 2012. My sexual integrity was not what it should have been. I sought out affairs, whether physical or emotional. Until I came to Every Man's Battle, I didn't understand that would never fill that void.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
The shame and guilt was overwhelming.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
You will discover what the true root of your pain is, and you will discover how to overcome.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Cincinnati, Ohio, August 22nd through the 24th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
Every Man's Battle saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And let's go right to our calls. Jasmine, you're coming up, but first let's talk to Jerry in Dallas, Texas, listening on KWRD. Hello, Jerry. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hello. Thank you so much. Now all I can think about is onions in my socks, and I'm not able to focus. I don't know if I can focus on them.
Now, remember,
Anyway,
it's not onions in your socks while you're wearing your socks, right? Because that would just be like a weird...
No,
it can't be that.
No, it is. You wear them to bed, and you
wear them
let
to
the
bed.
onions you soak
Exactly.
in.
Weird.
Yep.
Hey,
Jerry
Brian,
gets
I'm
it.
sitting
Jerry
next
gets
to
it.
Alice, and I'm smelling some an onion smell. So
It's
I'm worried about
cold. I'm
that.
trying everything I
I'm worried.
can.
But anyway, I just had to call and say thank you so much. I don't know why I've waited this long, and I'll probably cry with happy tears. My husband and I have been married for 28 years, and I always say it's been the best 10 years of my life. And it's mainly because 10 years ago, actually in 2016, my husband came forward after being married over 17 years and said, "This is going to rock your world, but I want to share. I've been going to massage parlors. I'm into pornography. I've been going to strip clubs," because he traveled for work. And so every time he was out of town, he would make these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so needless to say, I was shocked. You know, I knew something wasn't quite right in our relationship. I didn't feel like we had the intimacy, but I thought maybe that was normal after being married so long. But what was so strange was once he revealed and all of this came forward, the first thing I said is, "You have to go to Every Man's Battle." I said, "There's not an option. And once you go to that, then we'll talk." And so we immediately had him sign up, and he went to Every Man's Battle. And needless to say, it was life-changing. And once we sat down and started talking, our intimacy was never better because all of this was set aside. And the shame and the guilt and all that he had felt for so many years was released. And so our intimacy immediately was just better, even though we were having to deal with some pretty uncomfortable situations and having to go through a lot of therapy. We went to Marriage 911 at a local church, and then I went to Every Heart Restored, and I was so blessed to have Alice Benton as my group leader. And so that was just a godsend. And then we both went to Intimacy and Marriage with Steve Arterburn back in the day. And so, like I said, it's just one thing after the other. So I think I'm going to be given a venti with a triple shot in the next day or two. We've been praying about where to give, and I thought, we owe y'all so much. Because, now, of course, it's, now it's been 2016 to now, so just say 9 years. And it's like our marriage has never been stronger. It's never been better. We've never been closer, and it's amazing, like I said. And so I really contributed all to New Life Live because I had listened to y'all years before all this was, came out. And of course, Every Man's Battle was the first thing. So like I said, from there, and he did his accountability call in, for many years with the guys weekly. And like I said, it changed our lives and changed our marriage, like I said. And it was just something I just said, God, Satan's not going to have this marriage, and I'm going to stick it out with him. And so, like I said, it changed everything. And I'm just looking at it today, just so thankful. So I was listening to your radio show today, and I thought, you know what? I'm not sure why I've waited, but it's time for me to call in and just say thank you.
It is so touching to get to hear that this has been a success story for you, Jerry. We're really grateful that you called. And I'm curious, why did you have the courage to ask your husband to go to Every Man's Battle? And then why did you have the grace and mercy to give your marriage another chance?
Well, I think, because of my past, probably previous to our marriage, and then right before we got married, I was a pretty wild and crazy girl. And, first of all, God has forgiven me for so much and given me second chances. And, I just am a 180 from where I was in my 20s and 30s. We had one incident before we got married that my husband forgave me for, which would have been huge, but like I said, everyone says, well, it's different because you're married and this and that. Well, it's really not. I mean, it's all, I guess sin, as far as, forgiveness and all that. But, I almost felt sorry for him because thankfully he did have so much remorse, and he was devastated, and he was just dreading telling me so bad, and he'd held on to it for so many years. And like I said, it wasn't easy. I mean, it took, a couple of years to really get through and to feel where I feel today, which is just, so in love with him, trusting of him, just not, even in the beginning, I just thought, I can't follow him around and make sure he's not doing these things. I can't check his, and he was very, had the filters on the computer and did all that stuff for me. But I just knew ultimately he has to answer for whatever he chooses to do if he did anything else after that time. And so it just released me from having to have that burden of just wondering all the time or not trusting.
Yeah.
And so I just chose. I just said, you know what? I'm going to give it to God, and I'm just going to, I'm just thankful he came forward. I'm thankful he had remorse, and I think he loves me, and so I'm willing to work on it. And like I said, it just worked really well, and I'm very thankful.
Jerry, I want to emphasize something you're pointing out, because the perpetrator of an infidelity, especially, such a history like you and your husband went through, they're terrified to disclose what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And they think it will make it worse if I confess. Better to keep this all a secret. Mm-hmm. But like your story, when a husband is willing to come humbly and make a confession, it is so much more likely that the wife will soften and be open to possibility of reconciliation. So I just want to say to all the men out there, but women too, anybody struggling with a secret sexual integrity problem, disclosure is the way to go. If you wait until discovery, the bomb explosion is much worse. That's very helpful to hear, Jerry.
Yeah. I was thinking,
I've always said that too.
Jerry, as you were talking, I was thinking about all of the people who are in your 2016 shoes who are listening right now. And, because they haven't got the victory. They're like in, the same kind of place you were in. And we always give the advice, but I'd love to hear your advice. What would you say to the woman who's listening right now, who's going, she just pegged where we're at right now in our relationship? What advice would you have for her?
Well, I always just say keep your eyes on the Lord first and foremost, because, ultimately that's what you have to do in all these situations that we're living through. Is we have to keep our eyes on him, because we know that he knows and that he's going to work all things together for good, and not to focus on your husband, because like I said, if you focus on your husband, it's just not the right place to put your focus. And so for me, it was just keep my eyes on the Lord. And then, really, like I said, just giving my husband the opportunity to make things right, and, just being willing to go through it with him. And like I said, we went through a lot of counseling together. I went through some by myself. He went through some by himself. And I think, it's just wanting to make that work. You have to have that desire, and just and really the desire to make your marriage work. Yeah,
and you did a great job. But as Alice mentioned about your husband, I give him a high five, because he was willing to do the work.
Yeah.
If he wouldn't have done that, if he would have not accepted your, pretty much say you need to go to every man's battle, then you wouldn't be calling today. There'd be a different story, quite possibly. So good for you, and good for him, and yay God.
Yay, God, indeed. And yay, Jerry, for calling in today and sharing your story. You said you've been wanting to call for all this time, and you finally did it. Well, I think you did it because there's a reason. There's somebody listening right now to our program today that needed to hear your story, and maybe they'll sign up for intimacy and marriage, or every man's battle. If it's a guy who's dealing with these issues, sexual integrity issues, all the details are on our website, newlife.com. Another thing, really quick, Jerry said, she's a longtime listener to New Life Live, and there's a lot of people who listen, and they hear about us talking about restore and healing, restore healing after betrayal and every man's battle and everything else, and they're thinking, oh, okay, that's for somebody else. And then as soon as they realize that they need it too, they know where to go, because they've been listening for all this time.
Right. And they also are the people who give the recommendation to a friend.
Yeah.
You know what you got to do? Get your husband to every man's battle.
Yes.
So those are the people who do it. It's not just here on either radio or however people listen to us, but it's the friends who have been healed, and then they go and tell somebody else.
Yeah. Jerry, thank you for sharing your story with us today on New Life Live. Let's stay in Dallas to talk to Jasmine, who's listening to us on Sirius XM Channel 131. Hey, Jasmine, thanks for calling in today.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. My question is several years ago, her disclosed to us that she had been sexually abused, and we went to the police and a child advocacy center, and for reasons I don't understand, no charges were filed. And anyway, the person that did the abuse found out that we had, went to the police, and they ended up suing us for defamation.
Wow.
And so my question is we went through all of that, my husband and I, they sued us. And my daughter doesn't even know that we went through that. And there was resolution to that this past, earlier this year.
Okay.
And so she's 18 now, and I wonder, does she need to know about that? That's my question. We tried to, I think she knew something was going on, but we tried to shelter her from that at the time.
Does she need to know about the lawsuit? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you guys say, Jim?
Well, I actually think that there will be a time when she should know. I can appreciate that there are times when parents hold things back from a child or a teenager, but I'm sure she's telling you because she's 18. Well, I'm an adult. Well, now you're moving your relationship from to an adult, and I think there's a time when you want to say, hey, here's what we did. Whether she may. It'll be interesting to see what her reaction is. Her reaction may be, frustration with you, or it may be thank you so much. How about the resolution of the abuse with her? Because it sounds like you didn't have experience. You didn't experience. I mean, I'm shocked that they didn't take the sexual abuse allegation seriously. So how did she do with that as a child or as a younger?
It was very hard for her because she thought, I had told her, if you're on it, if you just tell them what happened, they're going, they're going to do something. The law is going to do something. And so she went through went to an advocacy center and did a forensic interview, exam, all of that, and it felt like for nothing,
That amazes me because that doesn't happen very often in the United States. You hear it.
Yeah.
But usually you hear that, Child Protective Services comes right alongside the person. You kind of believe them until proven, differently. And that's a different way of looking at it. So I'm shocked that happened. Does she talk about this experience still?
She does not. She doesn't talk about it anymore.
Was this person kind of like a high profile, maybe a member of the community or something, and maybe that's why they didn't do anything?
Yes. I think so. I think that's why. Yes.
Did they win the lawsuit against you, and did you have to pay damages?
We did. We did.
Oh, I just feel so sorry for your family that you went through all this, and it was so prolonged. It only ended in this past year?
Yes.
Oh, Jasmine.
Very prolonged.
How would you say your daughter has done in her healing process, and how long did she stick with counseling if she went into it at the time?
She stuck with counseling about 1 year. And, that was all I could get her to go to.
Sure.
And what do you see now in her behavior and in her emotional regulation? How's she doing in life?
She has improved a lot. She's doing great. I still see, some anxiety at night, and I feels like everything's slower, with her as far as like life goals and relationships. But overall, it's been a great improvement.
I applaud you that you and your husband went after all the right avenues to try to protect your daughter and bring about justice. I would have you think and pray about a couple things before you decide to disclose to your daughter. And I might even have you consult with that therapist that saw her for the year to get the therapist take, because the therapist probably knows best after you and your husband how your daughter really was doing by the end of therapy. So get that person's consultation take. And then I want you to consider, what do you hope will happen by telling your daughter, and what are you afraid will happen by telling your daughter? And you can also decide to tell her part of it. There's something else that took place because of that, the investigation, everything we went through. Do you want to know if there's more information, or would you prefer not to know? So you can give her some decision-making power over it, because she'll have the burden of it, and then she'll have to decide how to forgive, how to deal with it. So let her have some power in finding out more or not.
Jim,
Yeah.
a few seconds.
No, that's what you got to do. I'd go back to that counselor. For one thing, the counselor quite possibly would have had to have called Child Protective Services. Alice, I'm looking at you. Yeah. And so, I think there's more information. There's a story behind this story.
Yeah.
And you want to get to that, because when you have that conversation, she's going to want, this may bring up other issues where she needs to continue to be healed.
True. We'll be back on New Life Live.
What a New Life course is it's around a topic led by a professional, licensed counselor coach, with a small group of 8 or 9 people on a weekly Zoom call. You're going to go through the information, but also connect as a group. Those group processes make all the difference in the world. And so we have created New Life courses so that you can experience that on a weekly basis. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful. And it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us. So you can sign up right away. With 8 or 9 slots open, they're going to go quick. And so you want to call today and get registered.
Begin your transformation in September with a New Life course. Lose it for life, take your life back, or healing is a choice. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do, because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
To Jasmine, our previous caller, we're going to send you a copy of Doing Life with Your Adult Children. It's Dr. Jim Burns' book that's available for purchase on the newlife.com store. But Jasmine, just for calling in, we're going to send you a copy. Hey, if you're feeling stuck in addiction, grief, anxiety, broken relationships, you're not alone. There is help. Connecting with one of our life recovery groups provides a safe place for you to shed the shame and get raw accountability rooted in biblical truth and the shared commitment to eradicate those unhealthy behaviors once and for all. No more settling for mediocrity. We won't let you. It's time to find a community that's going to help you get unstuck and stay unstuck. You can visit newlife.com to find information on life recovery groups and resources. Let's talk to Tony in San Jose, California. Do we know the way to San Jose? We do. It's on line 3. Listening on Sirius XM channel 131. Hi there, Tony. How can we help you today?
Hi. I was just one of those callers that has been listening for a while, and I just wanted to really say thank you for, I've been listening for a year and a half now, and your advice and everything is so wonderful, and that I became a New Life Club member.
Thank you.
About 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yay.
Right.
That's great.
And I ordered a ton of books
Yes.
for the issues that I needed in my life. And so,
and as a Club New Life member, you get free shipping on those resources that you order. So that's a plus, isn't it?
I did, and I also got it when you guys were having the sale, and so
Yes.
I do mean I have a ton of books. But I was just calling because I just wanted to just know just where to begin with them. I have books that help me with issues in my childhood. I have books. I ordered books that are currently doing issues that I'm dealing with. But there's like so many issues. I don't really know where to start with it, and so I was just calling just to find out if I should just get a local counselor, do the September courses online, and I'm already was thinking about doing the Restore in November. So I'm just kind of trying to get some kind of idea of where to go from here.
Tony, you're all in. I
Yes.
like you already,
Yes.
girl. You're just diving in the deep end.
Yep.
Woohoo. To help us answer your question, why don't you tell us the 3 most disturbing things that have either happened to you historically or are currently going on? What's weighing on your heart and mind?
Right now, I feel like it's my marriage, and it's also my relationship with my children, and so it's just like, but they're kind of both intertwined right now. So they're dealing with trauma from our marriage, and we're dealing with the trauma of our marriage, or I am basically. My husband is stepping up at this point. But I think it's that's why I was, at first I was focusing on going to the Restore, in November, and I also suggested to my husband to do the Everyman Battle. That's coming up. I have all the information and everything on that.
She's like a walking commercial for New Life. I love it,
Tony. So infidelity and sexual integrity have been a very painful part of the story of your marriage, and your children have suffered some of the consequences of that.
Exactly, and so my kids are pretty much, I feel like, from listening over the years, that they're dealing with the anger part towards me. And today, that you guys, people that you were talking to and the subjects and everything, were specifically hitting home with the relationship with my children. And so then I just said, I'm gonna call him today and see, where should I start?
Are any of your children still minors?
No, they're all adults.
And are they angry with you because you perpetrated infidelity, or because you've put up with your husband's infidelity?
No, they are angry with me because I guess I would have to say, just because I was probably in control of our marriage throughout our years, and so I was the I always say good cop, bad cop. My husband was the good guy, and I was like the police officer of running the house and everything like that.
You're giving us a very helpful description to understand what are the most pressing issues. So we're coming to a break, but we'll be able to help you with a roadmap when we come back.
All right. Yes, Tony knows we're coming up to a break. She hears the music. In fact, Tony probably has this music as the ringtone on her cell phone. I mean, she's like a full-on fan of New Life, and we're so happy to talk to you, Tony. We've also got some other calls coming up, and we'll try to get to as many as we can before the hour ends. Hey, thank you all for listening and watching, and thank you for supporting us financially as well. We are New Life Live.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or a physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our life. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learned a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
All right, we are back here on New Life Live. We're talking to Tony, who's like the unofficial spokesperson for New Life Live, or maybe we can give her an ambassadorship. I don't know, but Tony is great. Anyway, Alice, what were you saying to Tony before the break there?
Well, Tony, it sounds like you may need some emergency surgery in the emotional relational realm of things. And so identifying where the worst bleeding is, so to speak, is where you maybe pay attention first. And so I think one of the best ways to even figure that out is the individual therapy. Mm-hmm. But I'd have you, let us connect you with a clinician in your area. Mm-hmm. And I want you to work with a clinician who's comfortable with both individual, couples, and family therapy. Because you can start off individually, but then you can branch out by inviting the next most urgent family member into the work that you're doing to stop the bleeding. When I started my own individual work, much like you, I just binge listened to as much New Life as I could. I got into a group because that was the most affordable first option. I got into individual therapy, and I started reading those books. And so I want you to also follow a similar path, and that individual therapist can even help you determine which book is going to be the most helpful. Yeah. It might be Healing the Wounds of Betrayal Trauma by Sherry Keffer. That might be your best starter book.
Jim?
Yeah, I agree. And if you don't know where you're bleeding the most, and which a lot of people don't, I don't know that I do in every situation, that counselor is going to help you. So when the Bible says where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety, I think they're going to be the person who's going to help you build that roadmap. And but you're in a period of learning. And so I love that, because people who are in a period of learning, whoever you go to counseling with, they're going to love you immediately. And the reason they're going to love you is because you are an avid learner and you want to get well. And even Jesus said to a man who was in trouble at one time, "Do you want to get well?" And he'd been staying by a pool for 38 years and he didn't want to get well. And he even made an excuse then. And Jesus just said, "Pick up your mat and walk." And so I think you just start. and let somebody else help you figure out which of those books, which of those seminars, but any of them. And they're all going to bleed together. You talked about marriage, very important marriage issues. You talked about your kids.
Yeah.
Well, that bleeds in. Marriage and family, parenting, that all is kind of one. You'll have to figure out what to do to help heal your heart. And don't forget to do it don't do it on your own. Do it, make sure that you're doing it with the help of God's help, because God cares deeply for the family. He created you, He created your husband, He created your children, and He wants the best for you. And He also says, I'll never leave you or forsake you.
Yep.
So remember that too.
And the beauty is that when God partners with us, you can't go wrong with where you start, because as long as you're putting forth genuine effort, grace expands. It multiplies. And so when you work on your marriage, that will impact your relationship with your children in a good way, and vice versa. So you really can't go wrong.
Right.
Tony, I think we're going to send you a copy of The Life Recovery Journey from the newlife.com store. Now, if that's one of the books you purchased when you went on your newlife.com store shopping spree, maybe we'll switch it out for something else instead. But thank you so much for calling in today. Thank you for supporting us as well. God bless you. This is New Life Live, and now we're going to talk to, wait, hold on. Let me tell you really quick that the help that we are able to offer the hurting people who call into New Life Live is made possible by our faithful supporters like Tony. This radio show is just one avenue of help we provide. Everything we do is made possible by the generosity of those who want to make a direct impact on people who are hurting and feel hopeless. And every gift helps too. Please join others who are making a difference by giving at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or by texting 28950. No, texting NLM to 28950. One-time gifts, monthly recurring Club New Life gifts, monthly recurring Club New Life gifts. My tongue is getting all tangled today. Everything's welcome. Everything is greatly, greatly appreciated. Here is Ken, who is in San Antonio, Texas, listening on Sirius XM, channel 131. Hi, Ken.
Hello. How are y'all?
Doing great. How can we help you today?
I've got a question and need y'all's advice on something. I overheard y'all talking to a gentleman who called in on a recent show about him having resentment and anger towards his mom, and because of his childhood and drugs and alcohol and stuff involved. And the reason why I'm calling in is I'm involved with a prison ministry called Kairos Prison Ministry, International Prison Ministry. And we basically go in for a weekend, and we're with 42 men in white and talking to them in a conference room setting, and we have 6 of them at our table, and we're there pouring in and being the hands and feet of Christ to these guys, and we talk about forgiveness and what it means to forgive and why we forgive. And a lot of these guys come from that background that guy was talking to. They were hurt in some form or fashion from a family member, whether it's abuse or whatever it might be. My question is, the lady that was speaking to him told him and recommended that he gets some professional counseling. Well, obviously, these guys don't have access to that. So I'm asking y'all's input and advice on what we might be able to do, or maybe a book that we can recommend if we can get to them that might help them with that history of life that they come from.
Now, are these issues with both parents or particularly one or the other?
Well, to be honest, most of these guys that we deal with come from the streets. They just grow up with no family values.
Okay.
And a lot, I mean, when you get to know them a little bit more, you find out that, I honestly didn't realize how bad sexual abuse was in families until I started doing prison ministry.
Right.
It's really, really bad out there, and I learned a lot from that. So, but it's just, we're limited on what we can do for them. And, obviously, we point them to Christ and try to get them to have a relationship with that. But
for sure,
I appreciated what she said about getting the help, but they can't get counseling in there. They have a chaplain to talk to, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, God bless you, Ken, for doing the work you do. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, definitely.
Yeah. No, I want to echo that. Thank you for doing that. When I was actually getting my education, I worked in a prison, and I actually worked in the counseling part of a prison. So there were people who would come and do what you do, and they didn't know these people actually had access to counseling. And so what you may want to do first, Ken, is talk to that chaplain. And again, the chaplain is overwhelmed. I'll just tell you that right now with all the work and needs there. But that chaplain may be able to help you figure that out in terms of even some of the help for these men. Some of those men will want to do that. Some of them are, because they're going through your program, they're going to want your program. And then, do what you're doing. Ask people, what are the 3 to 5 top books these guys will read. When I was working in the prison ministry, I was shocked that I would hand them a book, and by the next week when I saw them, they'd read the book. Right? They actually have a lot of time on their hands, as you well know. So the ones who are growing, so find the books, find the resources. There's online and digital courses that they can do. There's a lot of access within the prisons today. Now, I don't know your specific situation, but you use the word prison as opposed to even jail. Jails don't have as much help. Prisons tend to, look at the whole person and their healing in a better way. So again, I would suggest, first of all, for you to call that chaplain up and say, "Can I pick your brain for 10 minutes? What can we get?" And so then you become the resource for these men because they trust you. Those 6 men sitting at that table, they are so grateful for you. So you have to become the person who is that resource. So get your hands on the books that you want. Get your hand on digital resources that are out there. The ministry that you're with, the prison ministry that you're with, ask them what they're doing in other prisons. And you may be surprised that there's a lot more access to help if these guys are willing to do it. Alice?
Can I also advise you to implement a 3-step plan that you share with these men? First, give them permission to be angry. They have every right to. These stories are real. Their moms failed them in so many ways. And if there's not much time for them to tell some of those stories, encourage them to write those stories. And let them know it doesn't matter how you write, eloquence, grammar. Of course, that doesn't matter. Just get it out, because even journaling is very therapeutic. Secondly, invite them to be honest about their current state of forgiveness. Giving them permission. Some of you may not ever want to forgive your moms. Some of you absolutely can't forgive your moms, and understandably so. Would you just tell me, what is your current state of forgiveness? And lastly, let them know that forgiveness, it's for their healing, not their moms. And it doesn't let their moms off the hook for what they did, but rather justified anger and resentment keeps them chained to their perpetrator, and it lets that perpetrator have too much territory in their head and their heart. But if they one day choose to forgive with God's help, it unshackles them from their perpetrator. So if we go back to their state of forgiveness, I don't want to forgive my mom. Well, now that you know it would free you, would you give God permission to change your state of willingness when it comes to forgiveness? Because He can. Even if you can't, He can. All you have to do is give Him permission, and then let them decide what they'll do with that information.
That's good.
All right. Very good. Ken, thank you for calling us today here on New Life Live. And he was asking for a resource from the newlife.com store. We've got so much in there. We've got Bibles, we've got workbooks, so much that can help you in your recovery. There's one, go ahead.
Forgiving What You'll Never Forget by Dr. 𝙇𝙤𝙀.
Okay, very good. That is what we're going to send you. Thank you for calling in today, Ken. And we've got more calls coming up in the next few minutes as we round out the hour here on New Life Live. Thank you all for listening and for watching today. God bless you guys. Hang on.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
For nearly 4 decades, New Life has been helping people with the hard things of life. You've heard them today. It can be downright heartbreaking sometimes. Mental health issues, marriage and parenting issues, addictions, infidelity. We've connected thousands of people to a path forward from these difficult places through weekend intensives, counselors, life recovery groups, resources, so much more. We're here for you, too. You don't have to go it alone. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to get connected with your next right step. Let's talk to Ginny in the Simi Valley, listening on KKLA. Hi there, Ginny. Thanks for calling in today.
Hi, thank you so much. I've been listening to you guys forever, and it helped me through many years of my marriage. But the question I have for you today is, how do you get over shame and anxiety?
Okay.
I was shamed by my mom all throughout my life, and she didn't mean to. I mean, she was a good Christian mom, but she expected me to be perfect, literally. And, you know, that was just her thing. And I had been molested. I never found out until I was 47 by her brother, my uncle, and she had also been molested by him. But it just was, now I realize it was just so deep in me that as I was growing up, I had what now I can tell were panic attacks. And I had no idea, you know, what was going on. But I remember I was in one of my college classes, the one I really didn't like, microbiology, and you know, I was just sitting there hearing the lecture, and all of a sudden I felt like I was going to faint. And so I went down to the health center and told them, and they checked me out and said, I guess they did blood work and said, you're fine. So I never got to the bottom of it until I was 47 years old and had to have a complete hysterectomy. It was very serious, and I almost died on the table, is what the doctor told me. And but it was right before I had the surgery that I had a few dreams. And it was so bizarre. The dreams were about my uncle molesting me when I was, you know, like 3 and 4 years old. And I was just, you know, shocked because I had no idea.
So how did you confirm that this actually happened? Because you said these were just dreams. So at what point did you realize it actually happened?
Well, I've been to therapists all throughout the years. And so when I finally found that out, and I guess shared it with a therapist, and, you know, she just told me that had been like bound up inside of me for so long, and that's what I didn't even know what panic attacks were. And they weren't a ton of things, but it's interesting because as I look back, they usually happened when I was with a family. I mean, our whole family, you know, gathered together for celebrating something.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that
it was like your body was reacting to a danger that you didn't even know existed, but your body knew.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's been. And then what really, I found this out when I was 14 years old, and I moved to a new high school. And you know how they take your blood pressure, they check your eyes. And so my blood pressure was high, and they called my mom and said, you've got to take her to the doctor. Her blood pressure is too high. So my mom, of course, wouldn't do that. She had my dad do it. And when we got home and, you know, told my mom about it, explained everything, she totally shamed me.
Wow.
I mean, she just said, no, that can't be.
Is Mom still around, Jenny?
No.
Okay.
And I don't mean to be shaming her. She was an awesome mom in many ways, and a good Christian mom. But I had to be perfect. And I remember that shaming on the spot, and I just wanted to not die. I didn't want to kill myself, but it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah. Jim?
That's so traumatic, and I'm so sorry. And how, in some ways, and this is going to sound so strange, but at 47 years old, you can look at some of that dream as kind of a gift, because it's something that is in you, and now you can work through some of the reasons. It'll actually help you understand panic attacks, anxiety, the things that you were talking about to a greater extent. I did have one question. Your mom, how did you know your mom was molested by your uncle?
Actually, this is crazy. One of my daughters has always suffered what the doctor called genetic depression, really bad her whole life.
Right.
So after she, I got her help, and after she was recovering, she was even in the hospital for a month when she was 14. And when she was ready to leave the hospital, they said she needs to go somewhere else because of issues with her dad. So she went to my mom's house for 2 weeks. And that's how we all found out about my mom, because nobody knew except my dad.
Right.
So my daughter shared her molestation, which happened at school, in elementary school.
Right.
And that evidently opened my mom up. She felt so bad for my daughter. And I would have never known that either. Nobody would have.
Yeah. Well, you're in a time of really understanding this, and now it's helping. Now you're getting to this. How are you going to work through the anxiety? And we just happen to have the anxiety expert, Alice.
Jenny, to know that through the generations, there's been so much molestation and, of course, resulting mental health issues. When people go through molestation, especially at a young age, they usually form a belief about themselves, which might be, I'm bad, I'm dirty, I'm naughty, I'm not good enough, I don't measure up. And coupled with your mom keeping you under a microscope, expecting you to live to an impossible standard at all times, I really think that in counseling, you need to be able to speak about the ways your mom fell short without countering and fixing it with the good things that she did. You're good at that, and I think you're too good at it, because it may be against the rules to be able to just speak about the negatives that your mom perpetrated in your life. And so you've got to fix it by saying, but she was good in these ways, and those are true about her. But to be able to really let your guard down and just talk about how hard it was to be the daughter of a perfectionistic, shaming mom, that will be important for you. And I also think your family had a history of minimizing pain. Your mom, too, kept the secret for years, but maximizing rules. You had to live by the rules, but you couldn't talk about the pain. So you've already been in counseling. I hope you'll get into a specific eye movement desensitization and reprocessing form of therapy, because EMDR helps you to get to the emotion that has been trapped with the memories, some of which weren't even accessible to you, but it keeps your body in a state of hyper-awareness and hypersensitivity. And EMDR can help break those negative beliefs and calm your body down.
I think we'll send Jenny, a copy of 100 Days to Freedom from Fear and Anxiety. It's available for purchase in the newlife.com store. Jenny, thank you for calling. Thank you for sharing your story with us, because when you share your story here with us, there's so many other people that are listening that are going through a similar situation, and then it encourages them to call in either to us here at New Life Live or to call our call center and get connected with someone. And so we do appreciate your phone call. All right, there's our theme song, also known as Tony's ringtone. We're out of time on today's program. We still have so many people that we want to help. We got to do like a 3-hour, 4-hour show. I mean, that's just all there. All those in favor, say aye. Let's do it. All right. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time here on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.